Hello, I saw this picture on the internet and I must admit I had a little bit of a special moment and now I have no choice. I have to make it. I have to make a Merry Widow corset. But there are a few problems with the plan. One, I do not have the fabrics required to make the original or replica of the original.
This garment is made of a mix of plain nylon tulle, don't have that, floral embroidered tulle, don't have that, and stretch panels, don't have those.
Two, I am unwilling to leave my house in order to acquire the said fabrics. Three, I do not have a pattern for it, so the whole video is just going to be a hot mess. Let's hold hands and hope for the best and hope that I'll end up making something wearable and resembling a Merry Widow corset. I am determined to use only scraps in order to make a mock-up. I am definitely making a mock-up because I have zero trust in the pattern that I've just made. So I am going to use up the scraps, sadly in different colors, because I don't want them to go to waste. I mean, this is not really enough to make anything of value. So I'll make a very valuable mock-up out of it. Quick check-in. No, I'm not naked. I just finished making a mock-up for the bustier corset. I hope no neighbors are looking right now. I'm just going to show you that it is extending a little bit down. Here is my natural waist. So this is not really like modifying the waist, my waist circumference. It's just kind of smoothing it out. And I think I can proceed with putting my pants back on and cutting out the real garment. I went through my fabric stash because, as always, I do not want to leave the house just to finish the project. So I need to rely on what I have in the fabric stash. And I found a fabric that I thought would be absolutely perfect for this project. It's a delicate, kind of a lacy polyester fabric, which I love. And it would kind of remind me of the original corset that inspired this whole thing. But I realized I am going to have trouble with the closure of the corset because the zipper that I put in the mock-up worked perfectly, but it was longer than the corset itself, so I could put it on. and I realized I do not have any zipper that kind of works like the zippers on the jacket, where you can kind of put in the zipper and zip yourself up. I would have to go to the store for that, which I'm not gonna do. I could use grommets, but my grommets are huge. So I was kind of running out of options until I realized I have this hook and eye closure, which is nude. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I couldn't make myself do it. So I ended up picking kind of a golden color satin that would match a little bit better with the hook and eye closure. So it's going to be nude. I am not a huge fan of satin for anything that isn't a lining. I bought this initially for a lining to a dress, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a go, and yeah, keep your fingers crossed for me. I worked till 2 a.m. yesterday, and I'm still not done. Reason why I'm not done is, first of all, the fabric. My normal technique for sewing this kind of garment did not work on this fabric. I normally put the front of the corset towards the feed dogs, and I sew the channels like that. So I see exactly where the bias tape is, I see exactly where the seam is. But on this fabric, that looked disgusting. The holes where the needle punched through were ginormous and was creating a huge ripples along every single seam. I've done like maybe half of the boning channels and then ripped them all off, tried another technique, ripped them all off, then tried another technique which worked but was a pain in the ass, because the only thing that worked on this, by the way, it still doesn't look good. It just looks horrible. First of all, I had to sew the boning to the middle of the seam, but I had to do it from the front. So I had to put this side of the corset towards the feed dogs, hold the boning in place, and hope that it will end up sewn right smack in the middle of the seam. Then I had to take the handmade bias tape, which was a pain in the ass to make, and it took me so many hours because this fabric is ridiculous. Anyway, I had to take the bias tape, put it against the secured boning, put this side against the feed dogs, and sew it from this side, which means I had no idea where that bias tape was as I was sewing. All I could do was pray and hope, rip a seam, redo it, then rip it again, then do it again, and on and on and on it went till 2 a.m. I also broke approximately 5 needles while sewing this one tiny little bit, because they kept jamming into those tiny metal bits that look so tiny and flimsy but are perfectly capable of taking out 5 needles in a span of an hour. So that's that. And here you see this fold, because at 2 a.m. I realized I managed to make the corset too small. I made it too small. I do not know how did I do it. Probably should not have guesstimated the pattern. The mock-up was perfectly fine. I just had to do some moderate modification at the waistline, and I transferred them to the pattern. And I think the problem was that I did the modifications on the mock-up a few days ago, and by the time I transferred them to the pattern, I completely forgot exactly what I did, so I just guesstimated, which is a big no-no when sewing these kind of things. So now I have to unpick the bottom of these seams again and hopefully take them out a little bit, which will be only marginally possible because I did clip most of the seams down to make them look better. This is the finished corset that is absolutely too tight on me. And it also doesn't close all the way in the back because ballet. I'm not gonna show it to you because it's absolutely disgusting. What I'm considering is either burning it in the fireplace because it gave me enough headache already, or inserting an elastic here between the hook and eye panels. And that's pretty much my only hope of ever actually wearing this corset in any like livable situation. The fabric itself, I think, is giving Star Wars. Overall, I do think I learned some new stuff, some new technique. I definitely learned that I hate satin and that unless someone pays me, I'm never ever going to work with it again. I still like the idea of a corset made in this way. I think it makes a difference when worn underneath a piece of clothing. I can show you the difference between wearing a dress without it and with it. I do think there is a slight difference in shape. It accentuates what needs to be accentuated. But overall, am I glad I did it? No, I'm just glad I finished it because I don't want to look at it ever, ever, ever again. I would wear these glasses all the time, but sadly they make me nauseous. But other than that, it's awesome to see in 4K.